Let's go, girl.
Just tell me that I can and show you things that you couldn't believe.
Yo, let's go. It is Women Talking Football, or WTF for short. We are a pair of women, the producers here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. I'm the associate producer of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Dave Campbell's Texan Live, Mallory Hartley, and sitting over to my left
you had to think about your directions there for a second.
I had to look up because, that's just how I am. She's the AP to my AP. She's the executive producer of this place. It's Ashley Pickle.
Howdy. Hey, girl. It's game week.
Dude, it's game week.
It is one of those things where people go, oh, are you sad summer's over? Are you sad the season's starting? And it's like, one, no, because I get so tired of talking about football when there's not actual football happening.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So the fact that this is the last show that we will do before we have tangible football to really legitimately talk about, although that being said, since it's game week, it is like there is football happening in my brain.
Yeah, you get like the jitters and you get super excited, because you know that game. Well, for me too, like SMU played on Saturday.
Yeah.
So like football for me has already started since I work a little bit on the college side as well. But in terms of high school, I'm getting the high school football jitters because we got games in 2 days. Actually tomorrow. So that's
Tomorrow's
super
the first day of games.
And then sitting in the control room, making sure you can sound us and making sure we sound good. What?
You said making sure you can sound us.
Hear us. I'm exhausted. It's Miss V&A Moreno, our associate producer of Women Talking Football. Hey, V.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm pumped.
You ready for game week?
Week 1, baby.
It's week 1. We're super, super excited. And to kick off week 1, we're going to dive into a region this episode. We haven't done that in a long time, so
it's been a minute.
I'm pretty pumped. So let's give you a quick breakdown of what you're going to expect here on episode 72 of Women Talking Football. We'll start off by revealing the spotlight games of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight, week 1, right here on Women Talking Football. We've already revealed one, and that was Columbus versus Cuero. But we've got, I had to do my math, 5 others to reveal to you. Well, I guess no, we've got 7 others to reveal to you because one we already revealed one, and we've got 2 on Thursday. So 7 others to reveal to you right here in just a couple of minutes. And then in the back half of the show, we're going to talk Texoma. We're going to go all the way up north near the Oklahoma border, and we're going to talk some Texoma football. We'll talk about some teams to watch. We'll talk about players that are must-see in that region. And then we're going to bring on one of my old friends, actually, from Arlington High School. He's a sports reporter out there at KTN, the radio station, or the TV station up there, Brig Bates. So super, super pumped to have him on in the back half of the show. Now, we got week 1 of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight.
Yeah, we're
Friday.
Super pumped.
Super, super pumped. You can watch that starting at 7:30 p.m. on Friday night. We'll go all the way until about 10 o'clock. Maybe we'll see 10:15, depending on how those games went. Week 1 games usually are really, really good anyways. There's a lot of cross-classification matchups, really, really tough, strong powerhouses going back neck and neck right there. So we'll kind of see where we want to go. But if you're not familiar with Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight, this is our 2nd year of doing this show. Ashley and I actually had the idea last year to create our own show. And if you have seen NFL Red Zone, it's kind of the same type of deal, right? We have all of these Texan Live games. We have all of these football games happening every Friday night on Dave Campbell's Texan Live, TexanLive.com. So we were like, hey, let's create a show where we can pull all of those games, put them all together, and spotlight them all at once. And so that's what we're doing with Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight, is we're going to be diving into different games across the state, live views of these games. We'll be talking to broadcasters, we'll pull on some coaches at some point, And we've got 3 really talented analysts that are ready to take you deep into these games. Ashley Pickle being one of them, she's going to be our host. Ishmael Johnson and our very own Greg Tepper will be on the, I don't want to say desk because we're not doing a desk, but chair, I guess. We'll be on air. I'll say that.
That's probably better.
And then Vianney Moreno and I will be producing the show. We'll be behind the scenes. That doesn't really matter. But we're super, super excited for week 1. We've got a lot of great games to spotlight here. And with that being said, I'll turn it over to Texas Football Tonight's host, Ashley Pickle, as we reveal the 7 spotlight games for this week.
Yeah, so just to make it clear too, we'll show you a lot of other highlights across the state as well. It won't just be these spotlight games, but these will be the ones that we'll be focusing pretty heavily on. So starting Thursday night, 6:30 p.m. from Cy-Fair FCU Stadium down in Cypress, Texas. It is the Klein-Cain Hurricanes and the Cy-Fair Bobcats. Very, very excited about this one. Head coach James Clancy coming in with Klein-Cain. He's been there for a couple years now. They were area finalists last year, lost out to Spring Westfield. They've got a pretty good core of wide receivers coming in with a new quarterback. It'll be a junior out of Zach Johnson. The thing to watch out for Klein-Cain, offensive line, pretty young. So figuring out how they're going to be protecting Zach Johnson will be good. On the other side of that, Jeff Miller and his Cy-Fair Bobcats made it all the way to the regional semifinals last year, then took a beating from North Shore, the state runner-ups there in 6A. Cy-Fair, this will be our first really good look at them. They're losing quarterback Trey Owens, who was obviously the Texas commit, and then Owen Carter, their wide receiver that ended up going to Rice. They still have Landon Rink, so excited to see him.
Yeah, Landon Rink's going to be that. All the eyes are going to go to Landon Rink, that Texas A&M commit over there.
Which is really good because that'll give them a very strong defensive presence and then a little bit of time to figure out what this new Cy-Fair offense is going to look like. So excited to see those two teams go up against each other. Up next, down in the Houston area again, another 6:30 kick tomorrow night from Freedom Field. It is Galveston Ball and Manville. Very excited about this. You'll remember Galveston Ball, the Golden Tornadoes, and the incredible defense that they operate down there. They've run that 30 stack, so very excited to see
Ja'Cory Rodson, they're the leader of that defense. He just committed to Texas last week. He is a huge playmaker for them.
Yeah, and then obviously another huge playmaker on the offensive side, Jonah Williams, their wide receiver, and he kind of plays both ways a little bit too, but very excited to see what they bring to the team as they go up against Manville, the Mavericks. So out of District 22 6A, head coach Kirk Martin back in his second year for the Mavericks. Well, I say second year of this stint of his Mavericks career. He was there, left, now he's back home. He took Manville to the state championships in 2018. They fell to Highland Park, but he is back. He's looking to turn around this program, and I think that he'll be the first to tell you that, one, they've got good leadership on the team, but more so than that, I think the team chemistry is a lot better. They have a lot of returning starters. They're in that second rendition or the second year of him implementing his system again, getting things back to where they need to be. So I think you'll see Manville take a good leap forward this year, but they're going to have to start doing that against Galveston Ball. A very interesting stylistic matchup there too.
Very interesting. That'll be fun, hard-hitting football, I think.
Well, and Manville, seeing what their offense is going to do against a really stellar defense of what should be a stellar defense in Galveston Ball. So there are your Thursday night spotlight games. We will come on the show and recap those right off the bat. We've got a whole slate of games on Texan Live tomorrow night, so make sure to check that out, texanlive.com. But then we move to the big day, the first football Friday of the year, and we start off with an absolute banger, a rematch, a non-district rematch from last year, as the number 1 team in 5A Division I, the Aledo Bearcats, head up north to C.H. Collins Stadium and kick off at 7:30 p.m. against the 6A powerhouse in the Denton-Geyer Wildcats. If you remember last year...
No, I don't remember last year. Take me back.
An incredible finish to this game. Aledo had the ball. They got the ball back, and we were like, you do not give Haas Haney the amount of time that he needs to go down the field, and they gave him them the amount of time that they needed, ended up scoring on a game-winning field goal, 48-45. Well, I guess it wasn't Haas Haney. He was already at TCU last year.
No, it was Haas Haney.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm getting my
He's
years
at
mixed up.
TCU now.
He's at TCU now. They win all the time, so it's hard to keep track of which quarterback won what. Obviously, the reigning state champs there in 5A Division I taking down Smithson Valley in that one to grab their 11th state championship. So very excited to see them. And Robbie Jones is batting 100% as a head coach,
which is just crazy to think about.
16-0 in his head coaching career,
which is great for a coach, right? But then you look at the coaches that came before him that were just as good. You know, like Coach Buck. It's just like the water in Alito or something. Like, those dudes know how to play.
It's insane. Rayson Guillory's back. Caden Finley's back.
I like Caden Finley.
Peyton P-Dub Williams on the offensive line. I didn't realize they called Peyton P-Dub, but I will only refer to him as P-Dub from here on out. So very excited to see that. Obviously, on the other side of the ball, Reedheim is back with his Geyer Wildcats, looking to have a better season this year. Caden Cobbs is back. Corbin Glasgow is back. So they should be pretty stacked on that side of the ball, especially offensively.
And I'm really interested to see Denton Geyer's quarterback, Kevin Sperry, because he transferred from an Oklahoma high school football team. He's committed to Oklahoma. I'm excited to see how he does in this Denton Geyer offense.
It'll be interesting. Reedheim is very high on him. He thinks he's going to be a great addition to the team. It will be very interesting to see that, especially going up against a team like Alito, who's going to come out and punch you square in the mouth.
Correct.
So that one, a big one out of Denton County. Excited for that. Let's head down south. We announced this yesterday, but we will have the matchup of Columbus and the Gobblers of Cuero. The moment that we saw that hit the schedule as a non-district game, it was like,
take my money.
Mash the subscribe button.
Correct.
Then, throughout the offseason, it got even more interesting because the 3-time six-man player of the year, Grayson Rigdon, started his first year at Strawn, then 2 years at Benjamin, claimed a state championship at all 3 of those programs, claimed 3 or 4 different state title MVPs, is suiting up and gonna go play 11-man ball. And so not only was with Adam Schobel and everything, and then Cuero and all of their incredible talent that they have, not only was this a good matchup to start off with, now it's intriguing on so many levels. How is Grayson Rigdon gonna do? What exact position is he gonna play? Are they gonna put him at running back out based off of his 6-man game? Are they gonna throw him out at wide receiver because he's got a pretty good build? That'll be interesting to see. How they team up on him will be interesting to see. Do you go, and just the connection between him and Adam Schobel is going to be electric. So that'll be interesting.
I think so too. I think the most intriguing thing, like you mentioned about Grayson Rigdon, is what he's going to play. I would have to bet. I bet he plays running back. I think he's got the correct size for running back. I know currently that he's committed to play at Air Force. Don't know if he'll stay committed.
Right.
I think that he'll probably start, like those offers will come rolling in based on the position that he plays and how well he does in 11-man ball. I think that's what some of these programs that are interested in him. I know that Texas Tech has shown a little bit of interest in Grayson Rigdon, but I think it kind of just depends on how he plays in 11-man ball. But right now, I mean, committed to Air Force, first really great matchup in 11-man ball. I think he's just rolling for Grayson Rigdon.
Well, and Columbus's defense is going to be excited too, because Cuero's rolling in with a new Jackson Marie, I believe is his last name. He was a starter as a safety last year as a sophomore, so only a junior. Switching over, has really had no time to prep other than the offseason. So they've got a lot of experience up front on the offensive line, so that will anchor them. But we're going to see how fast Jackson can step up to the plate against what has always been a really good Columbus defense. So excited to see that one. Moving on, staying kind of in that same area, let's go to Brazos County as we bring in the number 9 A&M Consolidated Tigers taking on the Lake Belton Broncos. This one is all right, Lake Belton, let's see what you got, because they're losing 5-star wide receiver Micah Hudson as he graduates and heads on over to Joey McGuire land in Texas Tech. They obviously still have Davion Peters,
which is huge for them.
Huge.
He's a playmaker.
He's electric. He's fun to watch. Brian Cope will tell you he's fun to coach.
Russell Mabin, our broadcaster out there for Belton, he'll tell you that he's the real deal.
And so that's what's going to be interesting about this one. A&M Consolidated on the other side. Brandon Schmidt, the former Prosper head coach, went down last year, made an immediate impact down at Consolidated. They're now ranked 9th in the state, so very interested to see how in year 2, after so much success in year 1, how in year 2 they continue to go. And this will be a great test for both teams, because I feel like they're both on that same level of should be good teams, but is someone going to really go, oh, we need to be paying attention to them?
Right.
Then back down to the Houston area we go. How about the 19th ranked team in 6A, Alvin Shadow Creek? The Sharks taking on a very familiar name that popped out of kind of nowhere last year in Humble Summer Creek. You remember they played in the 6A Division II state champion. They were runners up to DeSoto. That game didn't go so well, but if there's one thing about making a state championship game, it's that we will always remember them playing in AT&T Stadium in the final game of the 2023 season.
Very correct.
Summer Creek lost a lot. They lost a lot. You've got the LSU linebacker now. Xavier Atkins is gone. Lloyd Avant Jr., their stellar running back, is gone. The good thing is Blake Thomas, their quarterback, is back, allegedly with even more talent at the wide receiver spot coming in this year. So excited to see what that receiving core looks like. Definitely the strength of Summer Creek is still going to be that front seven on the defense. They relied so heavily on it last year that they will definitely do that again. Interested to see, because Shadow Creek won coming in for the first time without a head coach named Brad Butler. So Brad Butler announced his retirement after 6 seasons, going 66-11 with the Sharks. He was the first head coach of this new Alvin ISD program. Not the newest, but new, as they came in and made it an immediate impact, playing in 2 back-to-back state championships, claiming one of those in their first year as a varsity program. But I can't believe I'm saying this. Ja'Cory Watson is still there, folks.
Yes, and I made that mistake. I meant to say Jonah Williams from Galveston Ball. There's so many names. Jonah Williams from Galveston Ball is who I meant to say earlier. Ja'Cory Watson.
Shadow Creek.
It's the JW thing. It just gets me so messed up sometimes. Ja'Cory Watson from Shadow Creek.
4-year varsity starter.
Freak.
Yeah. I remember watching him as a freshman and going, that kid's going to be something.
Yes.
So he's back. Colby Sellers is back. Their linebacker, Anthony Williams, the UT commit, is back. So this game is very intriguing to me because it is a stellar defense going up against a lot of playmakers. So I think Summer Creek's defense versus Shadow Creek's offense, that's where you're keeping your eyes.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, you just need someone to be able to stop them on the other side.
Correct.
So very excited for that one down in the greater Houston area. That one being played at Turner Stadium. Then how about a tasty matchup out east as Tyler Chapel Hill takes on Jasper? And Jasper, for the past 2 seasons, has been loaded with playmakers. They play fast. The head coach, Kendrick Crumdy, he's a ball-knowing Jack. Excited to see that. On the other side of that, Chapel Hill has the guys again. They are
for
back.
the 3rd year in a row now.
We watched them as a sophomore, and they got close and ended up losing. They lost in the semifinals for a couple of years. Finally punched their way through last year. Ended up losing to Anna in the 4A Division I state championship, but Demetrius Brisbane and Ricky Stewart are back. The dynamic duo. Excited to watch that, and going into this season that those guys feel like they have something to prove.
Yeah, and I would say, did these 2 teams play I don't think they played last year.
So, no.
I think Jasper is going to they're going to feel the absence of Ty Anthony Smith, that insane linebacker that they had last year, who's now at Texas. I think that if they want to be able to find a way to stop the run against Ricky Stewart and Demetrius Brisbane there at quarterback, they've got to find that hole to fill with Ty Anthony Smith being gone this year. But
100%.
Wouldn't be surprised if they already found the guy. I think this is going to be a fantastic game.
Speed is the name of the game there.
Speed is the name of the game.
This one is going, how we were talking talking about earlier with, who was it? Oh, Columbus and Cuero kind of being like that hard nose. They're going to pound you on defense. This one will be like that, but it's going to be the speed on the offense. Who can slow who down? That's who's going to win this game. And then finally, we started something new this year. So we always pick 6 Friday night games that are our spotlight games. We show you highlights, cut-ins from hundreds of other games throughout the state. But we wanted the fans to be able to pick the last Dave Campbell's Texan Live game that we were going to be spotlighting. And so you can go each week to texasfootball.com or just texasfootball.com right now.
Yes.
And there is a form under the Texan Live tab that you can vote for which game you want to see as our 6th spotlight game. The fan votes are in. Can I get a drum roll? There we go. And it will be the 6A matchup, the cross-regional matchup, Austin versus DFW. How about we go to number 8 Lake Travis taking on the Arlington Martin Warriors. 7
Let's
o'clock
go to Agtown.
It is in Agtown, 7 o'clock p.m. At Choctaw Stadium. This is one of my favorite non-district cross-regional, has turned into almost a little bit of a rivalry game. This was actually one of the first games I ever covered as a reporter when it was being played at UTA. So that was literally, I think, the first game I ever covered for Fox Sports Southwest when it was still Fox Sports Southwest at the time. So this one has always been held near and dear in my heart, but I just love it. I think it's always a great opportunity.
That hurts me to say that. That hurts for me that you say that, because that's my rival, my arch rival in high school.
Yeah. We're about to bring in one of your buddies from the Ag, so like it's big. We got to balance this out.
That's like me saying one of my favorite games I've ever been to was a Burn It game.
Okay, V&A. I think you just...
I'm going to go to a Burn It game this year and just have the best time ever. The best time ever. Anyways, continue.
So there you go. Thank you to the fans for choosing Lake Travis and Arlington Martin for the bane of Mallory Hartley's existence. Go Warriors, go Cavaliers.
Okay, thank you.
Have a great time. But there you go. Those will be our 6 spotlight games for the Friday night games. And then, of course, recapping the 2 Thursday night games. You can watch all of these games on Texan Live every single week. We are so excited to be back for another season, but really looking forward to Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight. We hope you are looking forward to those games. And then we will have highlights from all across the state of other games being pulled in. We'll have score updates from every single classification. But these were the games that we were really pumped up about to kick off week 1 of the Texas high school football season.
Yeah, I'm really, really pumped. We got a great slate. Again, starting at 7:30 p.m. on Friday night, we'll go to about 10 o'clock, and you can watch this for free. For free on TexanLive.com, or you can go to our Dave Campbell's Texas Football YouTube page. We will be live there. So please come and have some fun. I mean, that's kind of the name of the game here is dudes talking ball. Or what's the saying? Guys talking ball.
Guys being dudes.
Guys being dudes talking football. That's what we're going to do. So come hang with us on Friday night starting at 7:30 p.m. All right, Ashley Pickle.
Nope, don't like that. Immediately no.
Before we bring in KTN sports reporter Brig Bates, let's hear a word from our friends at, well, I guess our sponsors. Community Coffee is one of my favorites, so let's hear a word from our sponsors.
I feel like bustin' loose, bustin' loose, come on. Get on up. Oh yeah. Get on up. Bustin' loose when you wanna sing. Bustin' loose, baby, do your thing. Talking about bustin' loose, yeah.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, even at home. We provide compassionate, caring support, virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here.
Wing is the largest residential drone delivery provider in the world, delivering to your home in less than 30 minutes. Order using an app just like other popular delivery services, and Wing's automated drone takes care of the rest. fast, safe, and sustainable, and it's now delivering to parts of Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. You can learn more at wing.com/TexasFootball. Again, that's wing.com/TexasFootball.
All right, V and Ash. I hope that sounds better.
I don't know what's up with your nasally name calling today.
Let's go to the hotline and let's bring in an old friend of mine. He's an Arlington High School grad, also a Boomer Sooner grad as well.
Okay.
He works up in the Texoma area for KTN. It's sports reporter Brig Bates. Brig, how's it going, man?
What's up?
It's so exciting to have you on. I guess we saw each other at SEC Media Days, but it's been a while before that. But thanks for coming on. We appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks for having me.
So when we like to get to know our guys a little bit when we bring them on, our sports reporters around the state. So why don't you go ahead and give yourself an elevator pitch here? Kind of tell us about yourself. I kind of already started that for you, but tell us about yourself and how you got to where you are now.
Awesome. Yeah. So, went to Arlington High and junior year, I think I just started filming videos of the football team and just started posting each play-by-play, kind of big plays only, and did that senior year as well and kind of got a little following there. And that's kind of what led me to try to want to get into sports. And then I went to OU, and obviously, it's number 2 journalism program in the nation up there, and they do a really great job. And I'm really grateful and thankful for, of all the experience and opportunities I got at OU. And then now, I think 8 months now on the job up here in Sherman, Denison area, covering the Texoma region. Really like what I do. Really love the kind of small town feel, and it's the perfect kind of middle spot. Norman, up the road in Oklahoma, Arlington only about an hour and a half away. So it's really cool because I get a little best of both worlds with Texas and Oklahoma sports, and the people up here are just awesome.
And I wanted to ask you that a little bit. You're kind of up there by the Red River, so you got to cover Texas high school football as well as Oklahoma high school football. What's the comparison there? I'm really curious to see, is Texas high school football bigger? What's Oklahoma, Friday Night Lights? Kind of tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. So, I think, I'm being from Texas, I don't think anything really compares to the Texas high school football scene.
Correct
But
answer.
I think Oklahoma's, right there, you get the small town communities that just go all out for it. And that's what I love so much about it. And that goes for every sport up here in Oklahoma. And I think, they love football, but softball, they go all out for. They play fall and spring in some of our schools. So it's kind of a different field up here, but I think just the kind of the community, the alumni showing up to the games. I think that's kind of the closest comparison to Texas for Oklahoma and Texas. But obviously Texas, I don't think anything can compare.
Correct answer.
All right, so week 1, we're starting the Texas high school football season here. Sherman and Denison, the Battle of the Axe, longest continued rivalry in the state. I know that it has been a little lopsided looking towards Denison way the past couple of years, but I think something to be said about it is the fact that game is still as packed as it always is. What is it going to take this year for Sherman to be able to kind of turn that tide and finally pull one over on their rival?
I think, it's another year under Josh Alderman. They were 3-7 last year. But I think they got something to prove. I think they're hungry. I think that's kind of been their motto all off season is something to prove. They got that UTEP running back, Kane Bowen, can obviously be a threat on the offensive side. A couple guys return on the defensive side. First team all district Micah Hunt, senior wide receiver, 6'2". They got some weapons. I mean, I love Josh Alleman. I love Sherman, but I think Dennison does it again this year and makes it I think 12 straight years now. So, but like you said, it's still just such an amazing atmosphere, and you got alumni on both sides of the staff for both teams. Family split. It's like your Texas A&M house divided kind of scene. But it will be my first Battle of the Axe. As an intern over the summer, last summer, and I got to kind of get a feel for it. I haven't been to a game, but I'll be going live multiple times come Friday. So we're really going to see what it's all about.
I figured that was the game that you were going to be at week 1 of the season. That's why I wanted to kind of ask you about it. But small school ball seems to be kind of the name of the game, I believe, in the Texoma region. Of course, you've got the powerhouse and Gunner. You've got Munster that's ranked, Honeygrove. And then you've also got teams that aren't ranked like Pottsboro and Whitesboro, but they're teams to keep your eye on. Talk about the small school ball in the area and which teams you think could make a run come playoff time.
Like you said, Gunner, I really think they do it, going for the 3-peat there. So obviously I think that's inevitable, but I really like Tioga. That's my man, Coach Birdwell down there. First 11-man playoff last year and third round of the playoffs, returned 5 of the 6 receivers. And Coach Birdwell, he said, quote, they got the most depth of skill players in 2A. I'm going to believe him. That's a kind of an offensive guru right there. I think they returned 3 wide receivers with over 500 yards. They have 2 QBs battling out, but, I think we could see a run there. And I remember talking with him. He kind of mentioned, something about, maybe some guys moved out of his region kind of later in the playoffs that were kind of a threat. They maybe moved up or down, but I could see them, making another deep run. Like you said, Pottsboro, Whitesboro, two good teams, and they get back into the same districts. That'd be really cool. The Battle of the Borough, which we saw last year, but now actually in the same district. Pottsboro 15 straight playoffs, and they say they have one of the biggest senior classes they've seen. Obviously Major McBride, phenomenal running back there, is gone, but they get 3 of the 5 starting O-line back, which will be huge because, in my opinion, especially trenches win the ball games, and you can kind of really just stick anyone back there and let them find those holes, and they'll kind of eat. So I think Pottsboro is definitely a good team that can make a run, and obviously Whitesboro, same way. They're looking for their first district championship since 2017. They're a playoff punching machine as well. 12 of the last 13 seasons there, but there's a lot of unknown with Whitesboro. I think they're still young. They were young last year. They snuck up on some people. I think they sneak up on some people this year again. I don't really know how far it will take them, but they have less than 10 seniors there. But Cody Fagan, he's really good at what he does. So I like them. But also, I think a team, people are not really thinking about Tom Bean. First winning season in 15 years. They served a 2-year playoff ban. So they've been out there playing for just for the regular season. So, but I think they got a chance. They got 10 starters on both sides. Donnie Hooten is going to be their QB, and he looks like he can sling it. So I'm really excited to kind of watch them and see what they can do, because I feel like they can kind of make some noise. And then obviously, I guess lastly, Bells. They haven't really been able to get over that 3rd round hump, that slot T, putting in the work. But
we love
they're
the
always
slot
a
T.
team to watch as well.
I like where your head's at with Tioga. We're talking to Brig Bates, the K10 sports reporter out of the Texoma area. Brig, I just got one more here for you. Lots of talent. You told us a lot about the teams. What is one player that you think maybe a little bit underrated that people should really be watching because they might come onto the scene this year?
I like Brock Body out of Gunner. I think he's going to be a real threat. Obviously, that Gunner offense is electric, and people, it's, they're going for the three-peat, but for years, and I've heard this from my other former boss, I think this is the class Gunner's been waiting for. And I think a guy like Glady, just an athlete, dual sport athlete, can really turn up on both sides of the ball there at Gunner.
One more question for you, Brig, before I let you go.
Yep.
And I can't let you go without asking about our alma mater. In one sentence only, how are the Colts going to do this year? The Arlington Colts, I should say.
I really hope they can figure it out. I love Coach Pete. I have to ask you a question. Is that the Cravens that Arlington knows starting at quarterback over there?
I think so. I'll have to go back and double check. I got to see Arlington once at 7-on-7 this year, but I haven't been able to see them otherwise. Hopefully that they'll be able to make it into the playoffs. They usually do. They're usually a playoff team out there in that district. But we'll see. Always rooting for the Arlington Colts, but we'll see this year. Hopefully we'll see. But Brig, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time, and best of luck out there at the Battle of the Axe. We'll definitely be tuning in to watch your reports.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hope y'all have a good rest of the season. I know busiest time of the year for y'all. So
thanks, Brig. Appreciate it.
Yep. Bye-bye.
That was Brig Bates.
KCK. Kick 'em. Colts kick 'em.
Yeah, Colts kick 'em. That was K10 sports reporter Brig Bates up there in the Texoma area, giving us his breakdown of the Texoma region. Really good insight on some of those teams out there to watch, especially like Tioga and Tom Bean. Really enjoyed his analysis there when it comes to those teams that might not necessarily be ranked now, but could become more on the map as the season progresses. And speaking of ranked teams, let's go ahead and take a look at the 3 ranked teams that we have listed in the Dave Campbell's Texas Football AP poll in the Texoma region. And starting off strong, y'all, let's take a look at number 1 Gunner. No surprise here. They're number 1, sitting atop of the 3A Division II rankings. They hold the state's longest active winning streak at 31 games.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
That's not surprising at all. This year, it seems like last year was like, this is their team, right? They're really, really solid. They're going for the two-peat. I think that this year, they're just as strong. Now, of course, you don't have Walker Overman, our guy at quarterback. You don't have Kenneth Lindbergh. He's off doing better things at SFA.
Jason Martin's gone too.
But to me, you're bringing back one of the more noticeable defenders in 3A in Colin Peacock. He was stellar for them last year. He does play both ways, but definitely is a stellar player.
Having him back from injury is going to be really big for them too.
Yes, I agree
really
too.
Big.
And they've got a quarterback. His name is Preston Tarpley. He played a couple of snaps last year, so he's got experience at the varsity level. My question for Gunner, and we'll get into more of this later as we talk about Stonks, they got a tough non-district slate.
Oh yeah,
in Anna and Salina.
They can't find anybody to play them. They're too good
because they
have to go outside of their classification by a couple of different levels to be able to find someone that will play them.
Anna's 5A now.
Yes,
you're ranking up 2 now. I mean, and
Gunner is 3A Division II. Let's keep that in mind.
And Anna, And Anna,
the
5A
reigning
Division
state champions.
Yeah, that's
who moved up a classification.
Correct.
Are the only people they could find to play,
which is insane to me. So, and that's my question. Can Gunner stay healthy throughout the non-district slate to compete in district slate and continue on with their reign throughout Region 2 or without 3A Division 2, and we'll get into more of that later when we talk about Stonks, but seems to me like Stonks are up on them.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I'll save that. I'll save my thoughts on Gunner for later.
Yes.
Nothing needs to be said. As the favorite thing that the Gunner fans always say is, I said, like, the death machine is online.
Correct. They have logged on and they're not logging off.
They're not logging off.
Moving down to 2A Division 2, it's number 3 Honeygrove. Offense shouldn't miss a beat. You've got the return of Rylan Morris, who to me is one of the best players in all of 2A. He's an athlete. Lots of playmakers around him, like Jarmez Daniels as well. And to me, what stands out to me about this Honeygrove team is that they're very balanced on both sides of the ball. Stout on offense, stout on defense. I believe that they're the favorites coming out of District 9 2A Division 1.
They are.
With pretty much at ease there. Obviously, Cupper's going to be pretty hard. Now being in that district as well, but I think they should be pretty dominant in district play.
Yeah, well, and okay, here's the thing. They had a legendary defense last year. A legendary defense. They pitched 7 different shutouts.
Correct.
They averaged, the points allowed per game was 12.8. Out of all of those games they played, 68 of those points came in one game when they lost to Timpson in the playoffs. Okay? Other than that, you take those 68 points out, and they were averaging only like 5 points allowed per game. Legendary defense. Here's the kicker about Honeygrove and why they are ranked number 3 in the state. They have 9 starters on defense coming back.
Which is insane.
9 starters on defense. I believe they have 8 starters on offense coming back. So most all of that team that came out of really nowhere last year is coming back. And then, you look.
And they have the guy. I mean, like in Rylan Morris.
Yeah.
I mean, when you've got the guy at that level,
yes,
that pushes you forward 100 years.
And I don't think I ever have to really voice how much I love 2A Division 1 when we get into the playoffs. This is going to be so fun, like it always is, but almost for different reasons at this point, because on the right side of the bracket, it is so fun. You've got Ganado ranked number 1 coming out of Region 4. You've got number 2, Refugio, coming out of Region 4. And then Region 3, you have Honeygrove, Timpson, number 4, Garrison, number 5. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Refugio's got a new coach this year, so that's not necessarily a lock. Timpson is playing with a new coach.
Without Terry Bussey. So there's no reason that, like, Ganado and Honeygrove could be the ones that are battling for it at the end of the season. I mean, it's wild to think after and not to mention Shiner's still in there. Well, they dropped down. But it's just crazy to look at it and go, that right side of the bracket in 2A Division 1 has been the power nexus for so long. Most of the time, it was all coming out of Region 4. Then Timpson arose out of Region 3. Now Timpson might be back down. We don't know. And it's just, that's going 2A Division 1 come the playoff time, right side of the bracket out of Region 3 and Region 4 is going to be so fun, and Honeygrove is a big reason for that. Yeah, and it's really anybody's game. Like you said, at that level, it's really anybody's game with Terry Bussey being gone there at Timpson, and it's like, that's what makes it so much fun.
Oh,
is
yeah.
that we just don't know. Like, are we going to see a new team in the state championships this year? You know, we just don't know, but it certainly will be fun come playoff time. And then finally, our last ranked team in the Texoma region, coming out of 2A Division 2, it's number 5 Munster, which I feel like Munster's always kind of been in the mix. They've always been kind of in the talks for being one of the better teams, in 2A Division 2. But it was kind of shocking to see them ranked this year, I think, just because they've had kind of a couple of down years in the past. And man, I like this team a lot because they have scheduled a tough non-district play. I don't know if you've seen it, but Holiday, Windthorst, Pottsboro, back to back to back before heading into district play. I mean, that's going to be tough. Again, like I said, they had a slower start last year, but they're returning 7 guys on both sides of the ball. And I think, honestly, at this level as well, experience can make the difference. I mean, if you've got a lot of guys that have played at the varsity level at a lower classification like that, that puts you ahead so many years. You know what I mean? So
I think the big difference between this year and last year too, because there was 2 seasons back to back that weren't that great. 2 seasons ago, they went 6-6. After that, then 8-2. Junior quarterback Kason Carney is the catalyst that's going to make that happen. Obviously, the son of head coach Brady Carney. He's a ball coaching jack. He's been there for 14 years at Munster alone. So he's been waiting for this moment to be able to coach his son, and I think the kid can actually sling it. So I'm very excited to see that. Their secondary is going to be really strong, but really curious to see how the offensive line picks up. Munster has notoriously been one of those small 2A teams that you go to and go, you're not a 2A team.
No.
Look at that line. It's a bunch of like country-fed boys out there, man. There are some big old hosses. They don't have that this year, and this is the first time that a Munster team hasn't had a massive offensive line in a hot minute. So you've got the quarterback that you think can do it, but how well is that offensive line going to be able to protect Kason off the bat? That's what I'm going to be very interested in, and that's another bracket that is just so fun. It's flipped from 2A Division 1, you go over to 2A Division 2, and it's all the left side of the bracket that's like really, really substantial. But I mean, they would have to go through teams like Albany, Windthorst, Wellington, all of those teams that are ranked in Region 1 and Region 2 to be able to, that's going to be a tough track to AT&T Stadium through the left side of the bracket.
Definitely, and I think like you were kind of just saying, I think depth also is going to be huge for this team. I mean, do they have the depth, and do they have those secondary players that can step in on this really, really tough non-district slate, get through district, and make a run in the playoffs? I mean, do they have the guys to do it? So yeah, really, really good points there. I think Munster's going to be a really, really fun team to watch up in the Texoma region throughout the year. So there you go, the 3 ranked teams coming out of the Texoma region. Again, lots of other really great teams to watch, like Brigg mentioned. Tioga, he's high on Tom Bean, Pottsboro, Whitesboro. There's a lot of really talented teams with a lot of talented players up in the Texoma region, which leads me right into Cruton.
Players to watch.
Players to watch in the Texoma region. And what I noticed about looking at all these athletes, some of the athletes I wanted to talk about, some that I just didn't have room to mention, there's a lot of really, really, really great players on both sides of the ball. Players that play on both sides of the ball that are just dominant. And it's going to be super exciting. So let's go ahead and start off with this guy. He's probably one of my favorite players that we're talking about today. Van Alstyne athlete Brady Carson had a fantastic junior season on both sides of the ball. Offensively, he contributed over 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns. But man, I would say on the other side of the ball is where this guy really shines, and he's the most valuable. He just causes so much pain for receivers and skill players on the offense as a lockdown corner, I'd say. And he racked up 36 tackles, 4 interceptions last season. And when you watch him, he's just an absolute menace in man coverage, forcing pass breakups here and there, causing receivers to make mistakes when running routes. I think he's got a really high football IQ. When watching them, he can read the quarterback, he can read offenses really, really well, which makes him a great corner. And that kind of plays tribute to the type of colleges that are looking at him, like Illinois State and Dartmouth. This kid is really smart, and I think he's going to be fantastic to watch, especially on the defensive side of the ball this year for Van Alstyne. Up next, let's talk about Pottsboro quarterback Caden Humphrey. Definitely a player you're going to want to watch, but most importantly, I think he's going to be kind of this staple here for this Pottsboro team when it comes to wanting to grab the district title and going face-to-face with Whitesboro to grab that district title, and then making a run in the playoffs as well. I like this guy. He's a threat with his arm, but I think he's more so of a threat with his legs. He ran for almost 1,200 yards last season with 14 touchdowns on the ground, and he's only a junior. So he not only returns with varsity experience because he started there as a sophomore, but he also has another year to grow in size and in frame as well. He can grow his skill set for another year. And I think Pottsboro, like we said earlier, is always a team that we talk about when it comes to playoff contention and it comes to making deep runs in the playoffs. And I think that quarterback Caden Humphrey can absolutely get them there.
Yeah.
Moving right along here, I mentioned him earlier, but let's go ahead and dive a little bit deeper. Gunner safety Colin Peacock. It's the return of the Peacock. Which is a great last name for him because you know what peacocks do when they try and intimidate people, right? They puff up their feathers and stuff, and Colin Peacock is intimidating.
Colin, I would like to apologize on behalf of Women Talking Football for the disgrace of your last names going through right now.
I'm not disgracing it. Why would I be disgracing it?
I don't know.
You know how big peacocks are and intimidating they are? That's
many
the comparison
viewers
I'm
of
trying to
Dave
make.
Campbell's understand I've dealt with a lot of peacocks in my life. They used to be all over Llano.
And they're intimidating and they're scary, which is exactly what I'm trying to portray with Colin Peacock here. Anyways,
good at football, Colin Peacock.
If you watch his huddle film, that's all the confirmation you need. He's just a menace when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. He's a ball hawk. He's got a nose for the football. He's just a really, really fun player to watch. And he's a great weapon on the offensive side of the ball, too, being used as a deep threat downfield when needed to.
He's tall. He's got that height.
He does. He's got a great frame. He's got great size. He's currently committed to Baylor as recently as March, and he committed over our airways, Dave Campbell's Texas football. So, and you got to remember too, this Gunner team is a team that held opponents to an average of 7.8 points a game last season.
They're solid.
They're solid, and Colin Peacock there is the leader of that. And finally, I already mentioned him earlier. Let's round it all out with Honeygrove athlete Rylan Morris. Absolutely the most important player, I'd say, for Honeygrove when it comes to star power and commanding the offense. He was returning from last season where he put up huge numbers, threw for 888 yards and 10 touchdowns, ran for 1,700 yards and 32 touchdowns on the ground. The dude's just an athlete.
Oh, yeah.
Dude's just an athlete.
He's mowing over people.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. He's super fast. He's slippery in the backfield, making defenders miss tackles left and right there. He's really, really a great player. And he's only a junior, too, which gives him a little bit more time for growth and size room to grow and stuff. And he racked up over 20 scholarship offers before committing to Baylor back in July, where he's listed to play at running back. Big get for Keenan Hall out there in the Baylor Bears. So really excited to watch him kind of take command of that Honeygrove offense and make it his own kind of. So there you go. There's some players to keep your eye on up in the Texoma area. A lot of great talent out there. So make sure to keep your eyes on a couple of those players throughout this season. Finally, it's time for Stonks.
Always try your hand up strong.
Still to this day, the best thing I've ever made.
Yeah, that's your claim to fame here. When you leave, I will play that.
Yes.
Everywhere, because it's still the best thing that you've ever created. Thanks.
Welcome to Stonks.
Welcome to Stonks. All right. Stonks up or down? Can Gunner go back to back to back this season? Stonks up or down?
Up.
Up?
Yeah, we watched a lot of teams try to go for the three-peat last year and not successfully be able to claim it. I think Gunner is still loaded. And here's the thing. If they can go out against Anna in week 2, if they can go out in Salina in week 3 and show good sign of competition, who in the world in 3 Division 2 is going to stop them? It'll be Gunner versus Canadian potentially in the state semifinals, Region 1 versus Region 2, as it always is. And I think that this Canadian, I was at that game last year. I think that the Canadian squad was very good, but I think that the way that Gunner is operating right now makes it just hard to do anything with it. I think with Colin Peacock being back, that's a huge thing. But I would not be surprised if we see Gunner Canadian, and I would not be surprised that, again, whoever, in my mind, this is way too early, but whoever wins that game wins the state championship. The competition is just different.
It's just insane, and it's kind of one of those things like Aledo. They just seem to reload year after year after year, and I think I have to agree with you on the fact that
if someone's going to go for a three-peat, I would put Gunner or DeSoto. Yeah, that would be the two teams that I would be willing to put money down on and say, like, hey, which we don't do that because we don't gamble on high school football. But theoretically speaking, if I had to place my bet, that would be it.
Correct.
The
All right.
other side of that, just super fast, I looked at what Coach Jake Fizzell turned in on his questionnaire, just because I love seeing the difference between like coaches that just win all the time have to fill that thing out every single time. So I don't know if it was actually Fizzell that filled it out or if it was one of his staff. But the question is always, compared to 2023, the team will be, and it's blank, and he put about the same. I think you have you have options: better, worse, about the same. And then there is a thing underneath it that says why, and he goes, make the playoffs, get on a run. And I was like, if you had to put
what a power
Texas
move
into words, it's so accurate.
That's
too. It's
literally
not
Gunner.
braggadocious. It's not anything like that. It is so accurate. Get to the playoffs, make a run.
Yeah.
Win a state
and
championship.
dominate while making that run.
Gunner football.
Yes. 100%.
Stonks up.
100%. Completely agree with that. And then the last one, I got to ask you. It seems to me, and we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but Honey Grove obviously has always been in the conversation of 2A Division I. We're waiting to see if they can get over that hump, right? Especially out of the bottom half of that Region 3 bracket. This year, we talked about it earlier, Timpson's down.
Yep.
I wouldn't say very much down. They've got J.J. Garner returning.
Yeah, Timpson is
and
just
then
kind of
Coach
an unknown.
Thurlinger's gone.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. He retired. So they're just kind of that unknown.
They're on the Lake Belton scale. They still got good players. They just don't have the guy. So where does that place them in comparison?
Correct. So, yeah, and then you've got Garrison, like we talked about earlier. Can they get over that hump and make a deeper run?
Can they get out of Region 3 or can they get to a state championship? Because I feel like those are two terribly different conversations.
For the sake of this conversation, let's say, can they get out of Region 3?
I think they can get out of Region 3.
Okay.
I do. I think that they are the best team in Region 3. I think they can get out of Region 3. So Stonks up on that front. Stonks scare me and start to even out a little bit if you ask me they can get to the state championship, because if y'all aren't paying attention to Ganado, pay attention to Ganado. Ganado is insane coming out of Region 4, on top of the fact that we don't know exactly what Refugio is, other than the fact that when they made the state championship the last time, Jason Herring said, Haas, I'm telling you, we shouldn't have been here. We're so young. We're so young. So Refugio's just as good. Ganado's just as good. That game is going to be insane if they end up playing in the Region 4 regional finals. I don't know and will not know until we see what Honey Grove does throughout some of the season. But way too early thing. I think this team could get out of Region 3.
I think so too. I think I completely agree with you. It'll be fun to watch. Again, I'm really high on Rylan Morris, and I don't want to say I compare it to the same situation as like a Terry Bussey was to Timpson, but in the same kind of sense, he's their guy, you know, and like I said earlier, when you've got that guy in that level of classification, that can make all the difference in the world.
Well, and you said it earlier too, he's just a junior. Think about, let's go back to the Terry Bussey. If we're going to compare them, let's talk about the fact that Terry Bussey started as a sophomore. We really noticed that he was pretty darn good. Then he gets to his junior season and it's like, okay, this kid could rival a perennial powerhouse like Refugio. They end up losing. And then guess what? That senior year, they did the darn thing. He did that. I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about Honey Grove and Raylan Morris in that same fashion heading into next year. This is the year that he could really shake some things up. Next year,
who could be at his peak, you know, if it's not this year, it could be next year. So there you go. Our Texoma and Stonks, our Texoma regional breakdown. It's going to be a really, really fun region, a smaller region, but a lot of star power coming out of there, a lot of fun teams, a lot of fun offenses and defenses to watch up in that area. So we hope you enjoyed. And don't forget, this Friday night at 7:30, it's week 1 of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight.
Let's go.
We're diving into all sorts of games. We're going to have a ton of fun. Greg Tepper, Ashley Pickle, and Ishmael Johnson on the desk to give you entertainment all Friday night. Not really all Friday night, just till about 10 p.m. or so.
I'm going to be entertained all Friday night.
You'll be entertained.
You can stay on TexanLive.com and get entertained.
You can stay on Texan Live. We've got plenty. Just because we revealed 8 of our spotlight games today doesn't mean we don't have more games that we're going to be diving into.
Football games on Texan Live between Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 67 high school football games that you can go watch.
Right. And if you see a game you like on there, go ahead and subscribe to TexanLive.com. You'll be able to watch the full thing, and you'll be able to go back and watch the game if you missed it. But please tune in 7:30 Friday night. 7:30 p.m. Friday night for free on TexanLive.com or our YouTube, Dave Campbell's Texas Football. I think that's going to do it for us. You ready for week one?
Oh, yeah. Mash that subscribe button.
Mash the subscribe button.
This is the time. Get a full season's worth of subscription.
Yes. TexasFootball.com/subscribe. You get a bunch of cool stuff, and then TexanLive.com/subscribe.
So, yeah. Join us for the party on Friday.
Join us. We'll be back next Wednesday at 12 p.m. to highlight another region and reveal Week 2 spotlight games for Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. We'll see you then.